Okay, good morning, or good afternoon, depending on what part of the country you're joining us from. Coach Kevin here, and we are going to go ahead and get started. First thing I want to do is go ahead and share my screen with you folks. And if this is your very first time with us, want to point out a couple things that'll be helpful to you. First thing I want to share with you is we have a Facebook group that coincides with our meetup group, has the same name. I want to be really rich, and I do not apologize for it. And we'd like to ask you to come join us. I'll tell you why in a moment you would want to, but let me first show you how. Go ahead and type in the name of the group. I want to be really rich, and I do not apologize for it. Just go into your Facebook account, go search Facebook, type that in, you'll find us. You'll find our group. Go ahead and ask to join. Or you can go directly to Facebook, .com/groups/ I want to be really rich. So what we do here, a few different things in this group. We actually go ahead and if there's any special announcements for the group, usually we try and pin that up to the very top. The next thing is as long as I remember to hit the record button when we have these Zoom meetings, which I typically do, we go ahead and put the recording of each of the meetings in here. So for instance, let's say you're on today and there's something you really enjoyed and you want to review it, repeat it. You can come probably later today or sometime tomorrow morning. It'll be posted here and you can go ahead and review it. The other thing is from time to time as we're doing this work together and we're studying different things related to manifesting more money and wealth in our life, sometimes we'll take something and it only takes a day to go through. Sometimes there'll be something that takes a few days. Sometimes we might be going through something that takes a week or two. Whenever we do that, if you happen to be missing days, it's not the end of the world because you can come back here and go through. So let's say you're able to be with us on Monday and Tuesday, but Wednesday something comes up, then you're with us Thursday, Friday. Well, if you miss Wednesday, you can come back here, find it, and get caught up with us. So I just wanted to share with you different reasons why you ought to come join us. Also, it's a place you can interact and ask questions and things outside of the 45 minutes or so we have together each day. All right. Next thing I want to point out to you is what we are actually in the middle of working on together. We are in the process of going through a book called The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. I have it on Kindle. I have it on Audible. I probably have a paperback one somewhere. I've read it 3 or 4 times in my lifetime. However, after we went through the last thing that we were studying, I was meditating upon what would be the next appropriate thing and good thing to use to help the group. And this is what came up. So I went ahead and found mine, and then I decided, you know what, I'd like everybody to have a copy. You don't necessarily need to go out and buy one. So I typed in The Power of Your Subconscious Mind PDF into Google, and one of the results that popped up was this one. Now, several popped up where you can get a free copy of it, but this is the one I liked. So I went to this one. When it comes up, it'll say The Power of Your Subconscious Mind - the Logos Center up here, www.logoscenter.org. I don't know who they are. It doesn't even matter. Okay. What's important is when I went ahead and clicked on it, here's what popped up. Now, actually, the first page popped up, not page 138. 138 is where we happen to be right now. But the first page, which is essentially the cover, popped up, and I didn't have to type in name, email, or anything. So what I did with it is I just went ahead, and when it popped up and it was on my page, I went ahead and downloaded, saved it to my computer. So you could go save it to your phone, your tablet, your computer, whatever it is you're doing to follow along or what you like to read off of. And you can go get your own copy for free, which actually will match the exact copy that I'm going through each day while I'm doing my screen share with you. So that's the other thing. If you're wanting to go download it right this moment, that's fine. You can follow along because I'm going to share my screen and you can go pick it up a little bit later. However, the information that's been shared, as you can see, we're on 138 of 193 pages. That we've already gone through a lot of this. We're going through The Power of Your Subconscious Mind because there are essentially a couple different things related to the law of attraction to help it. Well, there are a lot of things. First of all, there's laws that govern us receiving the money and wealth we want into our lives. And those are Those are universal laws. Okay, law of attraction being a subsidiary law to actually the law of vibration. But a lot of people aren't aware there are actually 7 laws that exist that actually make a big difference in whether we receive the money and wealth we want into our lives. So first of all, we need to know what they are. Second of all, we need to understand them. And third of all, we need to apply them correctly. So that's what we learned to do in the previous thing we were studying, which was a book called Hidden Treasures by Leslie Householder. The other thing, though, that is going to help us or hinder us, besides understanding how the law of attraction works and the additional laws, is we have to know how our mind works. Because if our mind and our subconscious programming is in opposition to us receiving what we really want in life, then it's going to sabotage us. It's going to fight against us. And we, no matter how well we know the actual laws and how hard we try to obey them, we won't be able to, because our subconscious mind will be against us. However, on the flip side, once your subconscious mind actually agrees with what it is that you want to receive versus is in opposition to it, it will do everything in its power to actually make sure, no matter what, that you receive what it is that you want. So your subconscious mind can be your greatest friend or worst enemy, depending on the programs that are running in it. If you have programs running in opposition to what it is that you want, it's going to feel like you're just always struggling to receive what it is that you want. If you have something you've wanted and you've tried to manifest it, let's say you've wanted more money, a better job, a business, more income, and you've wanted and wanted and wanted, and you've tried and you've done all the things you think you're supposed to do, and it really hasn't made the difference you hoped, I can 100% tell you there's a program and or more than one program in your mind that's running in opposition to receiving those things that you want. Those things that you put out there that come quickly and smoothly, one of two things are happening. Either one, your subconscious mind is totally in accord with what it is that you want, or it's neutral in the sense of it doesn't have a program in opposition or for what it is that you want. So you make a decision, you want something new. Subconscious mind goes, okay, I don't see any reason why not. And it doesn't get in your way. But it's especially powerful when it says absolutely 100%, I agree with you, let's go get it. Okay. So Joseph Murphy wrote this book, and the way that we function is I'm going to start reading it, and I'll share commentary with you guys when I feel it's appropriate. And then as far as you guys sharing things that you want to share, here's how that works. If you're typing things into chat, I just need you to know that I pay zero attention to chat. I don't pay attention to it now, and I'm not going to be paying attention to it later on. Because that would get me off track, and it's harder to pay attention to what I'm doing for everybody else. So what I do is when we're about 10 to 15 minutes before ending, I will go ahead and come off a screen share and then come to you and let you share what you want to share and ask the questions you want to ask. So you'll have time to do that. That's not going to be a problem. Just want to make sure that you understand how we function. The other thing I want to point out, somebody last week, one of the days, we were in the process of doing some of our work here together and studying. They said, well, you're being a little bit deceiving with the name of the meetup group. I'm like, how's that? Well, you didn't talk about money today. Well, okay. Just because we're in the middle of a book like The Power of Your Subconscious Mind, which by the way, does talk about money and has many times, it just might've been in previous chapters when it was telling you how to receive it, doesn't mean the information we're going through isn't relevant to receiving more money and wealth in your life. Okay, we just happened to be on a chapter that day that didn't mention the word money, and that's okay. What it was talking about is how the subconscious mind functions. And Joseph Murphy has already shared with us in this book a lot of what to do to actually program your subconscious mind correctly, and has shown us why it may have been fighting against us in the first place. So I don't know specifically what's going to be talked about today in this, but if the words money and wealth don't get mentioned, that's not necessarily a big deal. It still has total relevance to what we're doing in the relationship to learning how to use our subconscious mind correctly and getting it to work for us so we can manifest the money and wealth we want in our life. Okay, so I'm going to take a quick sip of water and we're going to jump right into this. Excuse me. The blocker stump is not really there. Years ago, a friend told me the story of a horse that had been frightened by a snake next to a stump on the road. From then on, every time the horse came to that same stump, he shied. The farmer dug the stump out, burned it, and leveled the road. It didn't help. For years afterward, every time the horse passed the place where the stump had been, he shied. The horse was shying at the memory of a stump. There is no block to your happiness save in your own thought life and mental imagery. Are fear and worry holding you back? Fear is a thought in your mind. You can dig it up this moment by supplanting it with faith in success, achievement, and victory over all problems. I knew a man whose business went bankrupt. He said to me, I made mistakes, but I've learned a lot from them. I'm going back into business and I will be a tremendous success. He faced up to that stump in his mind. He did not whine or complain. Instead, he dug up the stump of failure. Through believing in his inner powers to back him up, he banished all fear thoughts and old depressions. Believe in yourself and you will succeed and be happy. Happiest people. The happiest person is the one who constantly brings forth and practices what is best in himself or herself. Happiness and virtue complement each other. Not only are the best the happiest, not only are the best the happiest, but the happiest are usually the best in the art of living successfully. God is the highest and best in you. Express more of God's love, light, truth, and beauty, and you'll become one of the happiest persons in the world today. Epictetus, the Greek Stoic philosopher, said, there is but one way to tranquility of mind and happiness. Let this, therefore, be always ready at hand with thee, both when thou wakest early in the morning and all the day long, and when thou goest late to sleep, to account no external things thine own, but commit all these to God. Summary to steps to happiness. William James said that the greatest discovery of the 19th century was the power of the subconscious mind touched by faith. There is tremendous power within you. Happiness will come to you when you acquire a sublime confidence in this power. Then you will make your dreams come true. You can rise victorious over any defeat and realize the cherished desires of your heart through the marvelous power of your subconscious mind. This is the meaning of whosoever trusteth in the Lord, spiritual laws of the subconscious mind, happy is he. You must choose happiness. Happiness is a habit. It is a good habit on which to ponder often. Whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue and if there be any praise, think on these things. When you open your eyes in the morning, say to yourself, I choose happiness today. I choose success today. I choose right action today. I choose love and goodwill for all today. I choose peace today. Pour life, love, and interest into this affirmation, and you have chosen happiness. Give thanks for all your blessings several times a day. Furthermore, pray for the peace, happiness, and prosperity of the members of your family, your associates, and all people everywhere. You must sincerely desire to be happy. Nothing is accomplished without desire. Desire is a wish with wings of imagination and faith. Imagine the fulfillment of your desire, feel its reality, and it will come to pass. Happiness comes in answered prayer. By constantly dwelling on thoughts of fear, worry, anger, hate, and failure, you'll become depressed and unhappy. Remember, your life is what your thoughts make of it. You cannot buy happiness with all the money in the world. Some millionaires are happy, some are unhappy. Many people with little worldly wealth are happy, and some are unhappy. Some married people are happy, and some unhappy. Some single people are happy, and some are unhappy. The kingdom of happiness is in your thought and feeling. Happiness is the harvest of a quiet mind. Anchor your thoughts on peace, poise, security, and divine guidance, and your mind will be productive of happiness. There is no block to your happiness. External things are not causative. They are effects, not causes. Take your cue from the only creative principle within you. Your thought is cause, and a new cause produces a new effect. Choose happiness. The happiest person is the one who brings forth the highest and the best in himself or herself. God is the highest and best in him or her, for the kingdom of God is within. Your subconscious mind and harmonious human relations. A vital concept you've learned from studying this book is that your subconscious mind is like a recording machine that faithfully reproduces whatever you impress upon it. This is one of the reasons the Golden Rule is so central to creating and maintaining a harmonious balance in your relationships with others. All things whatsoever ye would that men should do unto you, do ye even so to them. This lesson has both outer and inner meanings. The inner meaning concerns the connection between your conscious and subconscious mind. To paraphrase the scripture, as you would want people to think about you, think you about them in like manner. As you would want people to feel about you, feel you about them in like manner. As you like people to act toward you, act toward them in like manner. For example, you may be polite and courteous to someone in your office, but when her back is turned, you're very critical and resentful toward her in your mind. Such negative thoughts are highly destructive to you. It is like taking poison. The negative energy you are generating robs you of vitality, enthusiasm, strength, guidance, and goodwill. As these negative thoughts and emotions sink into your subconscious, they cause all kinds of difficulties and maladies in your life. The master key to happy relationships with others. Judge not that ye be not judged, for with what judgment ye judge, ye shall be judged. And with what measure ye meet, it shall be measured to you again. The key to harmonious relations with others lies in the close study of these verses and the application of their inner truths they represent. To judge is to think, to arrive at a mental verdict or conclusion in your mind. The thought you have about the other person is your thought because you are thinking it. Your thoughts are creative. Therefore, you're actually creating your own experience, what you think and feel about the other person. The suggestion you give to another, you give to yourself as well, because your mind is the creative medium. This is why it is said, for with what judgment ye judge, ye shall be judged. This means that in applying standards and criteria to others, you create those standards and criteria in your subconscious, which then applies them to you. Once you know this law and understand the way your subconscious mind works, you will always be careful to think, feel, and act right toward others. For in doing so, you're creating a situation of right action, feeling, and thought toward yourself. And with what measure you meet, it shall be measured to you again. The good you do for others comes back to you in like measure, and the evil you do returns to you by the law of your own mind. If someone cheats and deceives another, he is actually cheating and deceiving himself. His sense of guilt and mood of loss inevitably will attract loss to him in some way, at some time. His subconscious records his mental act and reacts according to the mental intention or motivation. Oops. What happened here? There we go. Your subconscious mind is impersonal and unchanging, neither considering persons nor respecting religious affiliations or institutions of any kind. It is neither compassionate nor vindictive. The way you think, feel, and act towards others returns at last upon yourself. Let me read this again, okay? Your subconscious mind is impersonal and unchanging, neither considering persons nor respecting religious affiliations or institutions of any kind. It is neither compassionate nor vindictive. The way you think, feel, and act towards others returns at last upon yourself. So your subconscious mind only reflects back to you what's been programmed into it. The daily headlines made him sick. Begin now to observe yourself. Observe your reactions to people, conditions, and circumstances. Record them in a notebook for later study. How do you respond to the events and news of the day? It makes no difference if all the other people were wrong and you alone were right. If the news disturbs you, it is your evil because your negative emotions robbed you of peace and harmony. Let me repeat that. If the news disturbs you, it is your evil because your negative emotions robbed you of peace and harmony. A woman wrote me to ask for help with her husband. She explained that he went into a rage every time he read what certain columnists wrote in the newspaper. She added that this constant reaction of anger and suppressed rage on his part was very bad for his high blood pressure. His doctor had told him that he had to find some way to reduce his stress through emotional reconditioning. I invited this man to come see me. I explained to him the way his mind functions. He understood that it was emotionally immature to get angry over an article in the newspaper, but he had not known the damage his anger was causing to his own mind and body. He began to realize that he should give the columnist the freedom to express himself, even if he disagreed with him politically, religiously, or in any other way. In the same manner, the columnist ought to give him the freedom to write a letter to the newspaper disagreeing with his published statements. He learned that he could disagree without being disagreeable. He awakened to the simple truth that it is never what some other person says or does that affects him. Rather, it is his own reaction to what is said or done that matters. Let me repeat that. He awakened to the simple truth that it is never what some other person says or does that affects him. Rather, it is his own reaction to what is said or done that matters. The explanation helped the man achieve a cure. He realized that with a little practice, he could master his morning tantrums. His wife later told me that he eventually learned to laugh at what the columnist he'd so disliked had to say. He learned to laugh at himself for reacting so strongly. The newspaper articles no longer have power to disturb, annoy, and irritate him. His hypertension is more under control as a result of his increased emotional poise and serenity. I hate women, but I like men. Cynthia R. was an executive secretary with a large corporation. She came to me because she felt very bitter towards some of the women in her office. She believed they were gossiping and, as she said, spreading vicious lies about her. When I asked, she admitted that she had many problems in her relationships with other women. She said, I hate women, but I like men. As I continued to talk with her, I discovered that Cynthia spoke to the people she supervised in a very haughty, imperious, and irritable tone of voice. There was a certain pomposity in her way of speaking, and I could see where her tone of voice would affect some people unpleasantly. She did not realize this. For her, the important point was that her coworkers took delight in making things difficult for her. If all the people in your office or factory annoy you, isn't it possible that this annoyance and turmoil may be due to some subconscious pattern or mental projection that is coming from you? We all know that a dog will react ferociously if you hate or fear dogs. Animals pick up on your subconscious vibrations and react accordingly. Is it so outrageous to say that human beings are just as sensitive as dogs, cats, and other animals in this regard? To this woman who hated women, I suggested a process of prayer. I explained to her that when she began to identify herself with spiritual values and commenced to affirm the truths of her life, her hatred of women would completely disappear, along with the vocal patterns and mannerisms that communicated that hatred to others. She was surprised to learn that our emotions show up in our speech, actions, writings, and in all phases of our life. As a result of our conversation, Cynthia stopped behaving in her typical resentful and angry way. She established a pattern of prayer that she practiced regularly, systematically, and conscientiously in her office. This was the prayer she used with such success. I think, speak, and act lovingly, quietly, and peacefully. I now radiate love, peace, tolerance, and kindness to all those who criticize me and gossiped about me. I anchor my thoughts on peace, harmony, and goodwill to all. Whenever I'm about to react negatively, I say firmly to myself, I think, speak, and act from the standpoint of the principle of harmony, health, and peace within myself. Creative intelligence leads, rules, and guides me in all my ways. The practice of this prayer transformed her life. She found that the atmosphere of criticism and annoyance in her workplace gradually disappeared. Her coworkers became friends and companions in life's journey. She discovered the truth that we have no one to blame and no one to change but ourselves. His inner speech held back his promotion. One day, Jim S., a sales representative, came to see me. He was deeply upset by the difficulties he had working with the sales manager of his organization. Jim had been with the company 10 years without receiving any promotion or recognition of any kind. He showed me his sales figures. I could easily see that they were higher proportionately than those of other sales representatives in the territory. His explanation was that the sales manager did not like him. He claimed that he was unjustly treated. At conferences, the manager ridiculed his suggestions and at times was actively rude to him. After discussing his situation in greater detail, I suggested to Jim that the cause was to a great degree within himself. His concept and belief about the superior bore witness to the reaction of this man. The measure was meet. We meet shall be measured to us again. Jim's mental measure or concept of the sales manager was that he was mean, prejudiced, and cantankerous. Jim was filled with bitterness and hostility toward the executive. On his way to work, he conducted a vigorous conversation with himself, filled with criticism, mental arguments, recriminations, and denunciations of his sales manager. What Jim gave out mentally, he was inevitably bound to get back. By the end of our conversation, Jim realized that his inner speech was highly destructive. The intensity and force of his silent thoughts and emotions, the mental condemnation and vilification of the sales manager that he rehearsed entered into his own subconscious mind. This brought about the negative response from his boss, as well as creating another personal, physical, and emotional disorders. At my urging, Jim began to pray frequently as follows: I am the only thinker in my universe. I am responsible for what I think about my boss. My sales manager is not responsible for the way I think about him. I refuse to give power to any person, place, or thing to annoy me or disturb me. I wish health, success, peace of mind, and happiness for my boss. I sincerely wish him well, and I know he is divinely guided in all his ways. He repeated this prayer out loud slowly, quietly, and feelingly, knowing that his mind is like a garden and that whatever he plants in the garden will come forth like seeds after their kind. I also taught him to practice visualization or mental imagery prior to sleep. He created a scenario in which his superior congratulated him on his fine work, praised his zeal and enthusiasm, and remarked on the wonderful response he obtained from customers. He felt the reality of all this. He felt his boss's handshake, heard the tone of his voice, and saw him smile. He made a real mental movie, dramatizing it to the best of his ability. Night after night, he replayed this mental movie, knowing that his subconscious mind was the receptive medium on which his conscious imagery would be impressed. Gradually, by a process of what we can think of as mental and spiritual osmosis, the impression was made on his subconscious mind. The expression automatically came forth. Jim's sales manager subsequently called him up to San Francisco, congratulated him, and gave him a promotion to division sales manager, with greatly increased responsibilities and a substantial raise in salary. Once Jim changed his concept and estimate of his boss, his subconscious mind saw to it that his boss responded accordingly. Okay, that's a good place for today to go ahead and stop that. All right. Well, welcome everybody who's joined us since we got started. Super happy to have all of you with us today and hopefully to keep you with us going forward. I'm glad that you're able to make it and glad to have you with us. So here is what we're going to go ahead and do. This is your time to share. So you can share in relationship to things we've studied in the past, what it is that we went over today. You can also share your experiences related to, and please do if you had positive experiences in relationship to manifesting whatever it is that you want. whether that be more money in your life, more wealth in your life, or anything, I suppose, related to intentionally manifesting something that you want in your life. The other thing I would say is this is your opportunity to ask questions. Now, those questions, again, would be related to what it is we've studied in the past, what it is we went over today, and or anything in relationship to manifesting more money and wealth in our lives. So this is your time to share. What you do is you just come off of mute and start sharing. If two of you overlap each other, we'll pick one, then the next one will go, and then we'll continue so on and so forth. So this is your time to share. So feel free to do so. Thank you.
Hey, Kevin.
Hey, Stephanie.
Hi.
Hi.
Good morning. I I have been working on my 300 list since I started this group, and I just got past 115 last night.
Okay, cool.
I'm well, I should it shouldn't take me 3 weeks to think of 300 things. I'm literally forcing myself to put stuff down, and I'm not sure where that block is or why.
It's a muscle that hasn't been exercised. It's a program there that you're used to doing things. I imagine. Okay, I could be wrong, so correct me if I'm wrong. You're used to doing a lot of things for other people. True or true?
That is very true.
Okay, I already knew that about you. Okay, and so you're used to putting yourself in a distant second, third, or fifth place, kind of, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So your subconscious mind goes, well, you've gotten used to the life that you have, which, I mean, you have food to eat, you have clothes to wear, you have a place to stay, you have a car to drive. You're not like really suffering,
No,
right?
not in any
So,
way.
right. So, so your subconscious, what you've done is you've accepted, and your subconscious has accepted this is true also, is that I'm okay. Not like I'm ecstatic, but I'm okay. And it's interesting because most of us, when we're okay, we forget what really good feels like, right? We know what bad and sucky and crappy feels like. And when we move off of bad and sucky and crappy to okay, that feels actually pretty darn good. That we don't even know what amazing and wonderful. I'm not saying we never feel amazing, wonderful, and all that, but that's not our norm, right? So by putting a smaller list of things that you want, your subconscious mind is saying, well, that's what you've told me in the past. That's all you need. I mean, come on, you got you got food, clothes, shelter, transportation. You're good to go. I'm not saying, and everybody kind of does in a different manner. But when you say things like, tell me what is something that, tell me about a vacation that you would like to take right now. If you would like to take one. Let's screw COVID. Okay. Don't use that as a block. Is there
Well,
a
I've put
vacation
those
you would like to
down.
take? Huh?
There's plenty of places. I've put those down.
Okay, so just pick one off the top of your head.
Okay, so I went to the Seychelles, and I'd like to go back to the Seychelles and go scuba diving again.
Okay. When you traveled there the first time, did you travel um coach, first class? How did you travel?
Uh, Partially coach, partially first.
Okay, okay. So it was probably money related.
Correct. Yes.
No,
I
come
didn't
on,
pay
let's
for
be
that.
honest, right? Nobody travels coach just because they feel like it. Right?
Right.
You're working on saving money. So what would be if you wanted to take that trip again, what would be like taking that trip to the max? Like what could you do to make what was a great trip like
The only thing would have been the flight would have been first class. Everything else was pretty much first class.
okay, cool.
So the
So
flight.
yeah, so when you take your trip or whenever you fly, something you can write down is, it's always first class or better.
Right. I did that based on what you had said before. So
Okay.
got
So
there, just struggling with the list on the number of items on the list. That's all.
keep going. Keep going with it. Even if you know what, you will finish it, even if you had 10 a day. um, but it's not necessarily meant to be a struggle in a sense. You should have some fun with it. However, you don't just give up because you can't think of it. You go, The other thing too that you might want to do is, have you ever been on the YouTube channel VYBO?
Yes, I went on after you mentioned it to one of the other folks on the team or the meetup here.
Okay, cool.
I have gone
So
out
is
there.
is there anything that any of those people are doing or having or experiences that you think, man, that would be cool too for you?
Yeah, there's like one or two things. Yeah,
I
there's a
know
couple.
they're out in the multi-millions and billions, a lot of
Yeah,
these. Okay.
yeah,
But what about if you don't see yourself wanting to be a billionaire, and you don't have to, by the way, would it be okay if somebody with that kind of money invited you on one of those trips?
sure.
So, hey, I have wealthy friends that invite me all the time to do such and such.
Okay, I see where you're going.
Yeah, so
Looking
you can
out
have all
for
those experiences without having to necessarily be the one that has the business that pays for it or the money or whatever. I mean, just like when I got to fly on the private plane, right? It's you can do all the things you want to do without going, oh my gosh, I got to earn $100 million if I want to do that, because then your subconscious mind again is going to fight you. So just write down things that you want to do. Don't worry about you having to have the money to do it. Just if it looks like fun and you would love it, enjoy doing it, then just write it down.
okay, I
Don't
got
let money have anything to do with what you write down.
you. Okay.
Cool.
Yep,
Hi,
thank you.
Kevin.
Uh-huh. Hi, Francine.
How are you?
Terrific.
So the examples that we were reading today, can I say that it's like looking in the mirror, and
Uh-huh.
what you are reflecting, the image you're reflecting in the mirror is what you're getting back.
Uh-huh. That's a
So,
great explanation of what basically was said today, right?
okay. So it is like, okay. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I love that do not judge, because probably anything that we feel bad about, well, I'll say anything but when we feel bad about, let's say we've done stuff, right? We've made some mistakes in our life or done things we're not proud of, and we hold on to that, right? Chances are the reason we're holding on to it is because we've been harsh in judging others. You may say, well, I don't judge people. I'm not prejudiced. I'm not this. I'm not that. I'm not whatever. Uh, I'm not saying you intentionally are. Okay. I'm saying that the things that we feel all this guilt and shame and whatever about is probably because we've judged others that way.
So if I'm at the airport and
Mhm.
my flight is delayed or even
Okay.
canceled,
Uh-huh.
and it's very hard to get on another flight and so on, and I'm kind of stuck there.
Uh-huh.
How does that reflect? I mean, I'm not the one who wanted to miss I
No, I
mean, that
know. I
I
know.
did not want that flight to be canceled or anything like that. So when you have, is that still something in your subconscious that
You're
somehow you did not want to get on that flight, or you did not want to go there, or what is
Well,
it?
that could be a couple different things. So one guy that I really like I haven't so much lately, but somebody who has also been mentored by Bob Proctor, but a long time ago. And he's been a law of attraction teacher for gosh, lots of years, and a coach to a lot of people. So there's a guy by the name of David Nagel, and he had a situation like that. And Bob Proctor was his personal coach at the time. And he'd been teaching law of attraction to others and how to make things work out. And he had a situation like what you're talking about. He took a trip, went on the trip, got there. It was time to come home, and it was a snow in kind of situation or something like. Anyhow, whatever it was, flights were stopped essentially. And he called up Bob and said, "Yeah, it looks like I'm kind of stuck. Whatever." He wasn't actually calling Bob specifically to complain. He was actually just calling Bob to say why he wasn't going to be home at such and such time. And Bob is like, well, why not? And it's, well, this. He goes, well, do you want to be home? He's like, well, yeah, I don't want to, he's like, well, then what's the problem? No, no. What, do you believe this stuff or not? You've been teaching it to others. You're a coach. You've literally taught thousands of people over the years. You've manifested all these things in your life. You understand how to turn this around. Do you want to be do you want to be back home where you're from? Or You want to be stuck in this situation? I want to be back home. He goes, well, then go do it. And so he was like, all right. So granted, he couldn't leave at the exact time because that time had passed, but he wanted to be home and home asleep in his bed that night. And this is, sometime in the morning or afternoon of wherever he was, and all flights going in and out were canceled. Anyhow, he kept trying and doing different things and going to different counters, try to buy. He had money, so he was rich, relatively rich at this point. So, different airlines or whatever, but none of that was doing any good. And he was about to give up again because of circumstances. And then he's like, darn it, you know what? Bob's right. Do I believe this stuff or not? I know how it works. And he did what I would tell other people typically to do, because I've learned from people like him and Bob and my own experience. Instead of focusing on trying to get a ticket and get a flight out and figure out how to get out of there, he focused on himself going to bed in his own bed that night. Walking into opening the door, hugging his wife, giving her a kiss, say hi to the kids, and, going upstairs or wherever, and then getting in bed and going to sleep in his own bed. So he did that over and over and over in his imagery till it felt good and felt right. Once it felt good and felt right, he understood that God and the universe were supplying the way for that to happen. Ultimately, what ended up happening for David is he ended up being somebody grabbed him and said, hey, we don't have a normal flight. There's none going in and out. But we've got a plane that's leaving here in a little bit going to where you want to go, but it's going for maintenance. There's not going to be anybody on the plane except for the pilots, and the crew is going to be hardly anybody. There might be a stewardess or two, but basically it's only airline people on it. There's not going to be any passengers. However, if you want to take this flight, you're welcome to hop on. So I would say differently. Yes, it was sort of created in the sense of his subconscious, God in the universe already knew there was going to be a snow-in situation. If he bought that ticket and did that, all the stuff, they already knew that was going to happen. So subconsciously, he could have potentially avoided it, except in this situation, he was gone out of town on purpose because he actually was teaching a seminar. He was there with Bob Proctor originally, and that's when he was time to go home, and Bob had already made it home. And he was calling Bob up to say what was going on. So even though the snow happened, he still needed and wanted, well, there wasn't the need. Here's the difference too. It wasn't strictly a need, it was a want. He could have got a hotel, stayed another day, but it's not what he wanted. And but a lot of people with money and stuff would say, oh, screw it. I'm just gonna, get a hotel, stay here and whatever. But that's not what he really wanted. He had other things he wanted to do. He wanted to be home. And I think he had stuff he wanted to do the next morning. So it was just a want, not a dire need.
So
yeah, go ahead.
So would you call that more willpower? I mean, where do you draw the line between willpower and changing your circumstances by imposing a visualization on the results? I mean, what's
the willpower is used for one thing and one thing only. It's once you've decided what you want and you come up with what you want and you come up with the vision of what you want, willpower is meant to be performed on yourself, so that when outside things come in opposition to what you want, you turn to your will to stay focused on what you want. But he didn't push his will on God in the universe.
I see. Yeah. Okay. I see the difference now. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. Willpower is never to be used on another human being or stuff. Like, I'm going to make that rock move. Right.
No, but I'm going to make it that I'm going to be home no matter what, is basically, but then again, he used the visualization to accomplish that. And to me, that's a little bit of willpower as well. And it's kind of, I don't know.
No, he didn't force again. So listen to what I said. He decided what he wanted. And then he held that vision till he felt good and he felt peace. That was God in the universe coming back to him saying, got this for you.
Okay.
Okay. Now he had to keep the faith. And the willpower at that point was used that when things still seemed like they weren't working out, you know,
For him to keep the faith.
for him to keep the faith and keep the focus.
Right. Okay. All right. I get it.
Cool. Awesome, awesome, awesome.
Hi, Kevin, it's Stuart. Do we have time for one more question?
I do. Go ahead, Stuart.
What do you think about hypnosis as a technique for helping to reprogram the subconscious mind?
Yeah, if you go earlier in the book, it talks a bit about that, and he goes over Mesmer and some other things. And that's essentially what affirmations and things are, is self-hypnosis, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. I'll take a look.
Go ahead. Well, you were saying something, sir?
No, I just said I'll take a look in the book. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Well, what's your experience with hypnosis? You brought it up either because you have experience or you've considered it.
Oh, I've considered it. I mean, I do affirmations regularly.
Mhm.
But and I attended my first class with you last Tuesday or Wednesday. This is the first chance I had to get back, but I I basically, like, I have this chronic pain condition, and
Okay.
I'm having trouble manifesting abundance. So I think I'm stuck in this old pattern of that my life has to be difficult. So
Okay.
I haven't had any epiphanies in having a greater abundance consciousness just by doing affirmations.
Okay.
So I'm not
So,
sure that that's really helping
yeah.
me.
Now, repeating strings of words over and over and over again without positive emotion attached to it doesn't do a whole lot. It let me kind of explain what I mean by that. Okay. If I was, and I'm not, but if I was let's say Arnold Schwarzenegger at his peak, right, from a bodybuilding standpoint, and someone came up to me, because he'll talk about in the book again how people are impacted a lot by what other people say, by their environment, right? However, if our subconscious program doesn't believe what somebody says to us, even if they say it over and over and over again, the subconscious mind just it's like shoo kind of thing. So if somebody walked up to Arnold Schwarzenegger at his peak and said, "You look like a little sissy, wimpy, girly man," right? He would just grin and laugh, and he could have that same little dude come up to him every single day for the next 1,000 years and say that to him. And Arnold Schwarzenegger would not just become this little wimpy, girly man, because his program is like totally opposite to that. So it's like, yeah, whatever. But if somebody who had been working on things, and that, let's say they had been kind of wimpy and weak or whatever, and they worked and got themselves better, but they quit working on their mind and they hadn't worked out for a while, and a person comes by them and says things like that over and over and over again, if their subconscious mind allows that program in, then it'll become reality for them. But it's not the words, right? Arnold Schwarzenegger would have to get upset. He would have to emotionalize it negatively for it to have any impact on him. Instead, he would probably giggle and laugh and tell stories about that guy later on when he's telling jokes. Oh yeah, I ran across this guy. They called me this little wimpy girly man, and he was about 5'2", and you could see it would turn into a fun for him, right? It wouldn't turn into anything. If I'm just saying I'm rich, or I'm a millionaire, and it doesn't bring up any positive emotions and doesn't bring up anything to your mind that you could visualize, it's probably not going to have the impact that you want.
Okay.
So what you should do, if you're dealing with what you're talking about, has there been a time in your life where you did feel good physically?
Yes.
Okay, can you remember it?
Barely.
I know, but you can.
I can.
Could you imagine it? Even if you can remember, can you imagine it?
Yes.
Yeah. So one of the things you could do to reprogram yourself is you could say things, affirmations, but what I would do is go off like morning, right when you're waking up, that 5, 10, 15 minutes, and visualize yourself as healthy as you possibly can. And go do things in your mind, whatever it would be, if none of this stuff that's bothering you is bothering you, right? If you would go run, go run. If you go skip and jump, go skip and jump. Go do whatever it is that you would do if you weren't being held back by whatever's going on, and see yourself enjoying it and feeling it. And then do it again the last, right before you doze off and go to bed. Take 5, 10, 15 minutes, do it again, and do it again, do it again. If you read the book, I can't tell you how long it's going to take. I just can't tell you exactly, but I will tell you that a lot of times positive things will happen within the first couple of weeks to 30 days. Doesn't mean you stop and go, oh, it's all good. No, you keep going. But it might surprise you that you're like, hey, that thing that's been bugging me like chronically, that's not so bad today. Right? It's not perfect, but wow, there's an actual difference. And what's cool about that is you'll be able to go, wow, what I did probably made that happen. So now your faith builds up and you're like, keep doing it. Our subconscious mind might get us to try and stop doing the good thing that made us feel better, because now we're moving away from what it thinks is normal. But continue with it and let that build your faith. That would be my advice to you, though, is you need to see and feel yourself and enjoy it, having the health that you want before the health is going to show up. Just saying, I'm healthy, I'm healthy, I'm healthy. Now the word health attached to that vision, what that does, because he talks about that too, you can have a 1 word or 2 or 3 word thing, but it's got to be attached to a vision that creates a feeling.
Got it. Okay, excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome. Speaking of health, how you doing, Takira? We'll get Landon first, but I do want to hear how you're doing after that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to piggyback on that last one. I played a lot of soccer growing up, and I used to roll my ankles all the time. And so I had this program in my subconscious that was, I had weak ankles. And then I started getting into, subconscious training and trying to, fix my programming. And so, anytime I'd go on a hike, there's all these uneven, rocks and steps that you take. Anytime like I would hear a thought in my head that said, oh, I have weak ankles, or like I had the feeling like, oh, I'm worried, I would replace that with I have strong ankles. Like I can hike anywhere. Like I actually have, full stability and everything. And over time that became my new program. And I haven't had any issues with my ankles in like 4 years, 5 years. And I had torn ligaments, like it was pretty bad. And then just completely changing that and just replacing that anytime I had a thought, just like switching it, like acknowledging that the negative thought was there and then just replacing it over and over again. And eventually it really helped. So that was something I used. And
awesome. Well, what you just said, go ahead, acknowledge it, but then replace it.
Mm-hmm.
That perfect. Over and over and over again, right?
Yeah.
We don't get a chance.
We
don't get to just stop and go, oh, okay, I said it once, I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
Sure.
Takira.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Kevin.
Hey, you look like you're in a nicer place than you were last time.
Yes, thank you so much. But my hair's not done. But don't worry, tomorrow I will be having my hair done. And
mine isn't either.
Amazing. I love it.
That was a good one.
That's a good one. But I feel much better. I can attest to what we just discussed, because when you said the gentleman traveling back home who wanted to be home, I did what you said at the hospital. I essentially, like you told me to do what you would do if you were at the hotel. When I tell you, Kevin, it was amazing. Every single thing I said I would do, it happened. I was released early from the hospital. I even wore a skirt, and it wasn't my intention to. I actually packed jeans. But when I woke up the next day, I'm like, oh my God, last night I had on a dress and it looked really nice. But it's because I had did it in my mind prior to. And it was phenomenal. The hotel was like 5 stars. The waiters were so nice to me. They gave me a discount. I had brunch. A good friend came to spend time with me. It was so nice. And then I got answers about my business on Sunday. Once I did what you said, which was to chill. And I just feel so inspired. But I actually got the book today. It came in UPS today. So I'm gonna read this tonight. But I did want to ask you, when you say go do what you would do, you know, obviously want to attract marriage and a lot of money. What would I do do I picture myself at the chapel talking to my husband to be?
You could
Or
do,
do I kiss him?
could-
Like,
yeah, you could do that. You could picture yourself at the altar, so to speak, if you
Okay.
want, or you could picture yourself already with the person, with the family that you have. You just want to take it to already happening or has happened already. You don't want to take it to it's going to, you want to take it to it is
it is happening right now.
right now, or it happened a month ago.
A
Right.
month
And
ago.
but in other words, I've already been in my house for the last 3 months. I bought my house 3 months ago, and now we're celebrating 4th of July, or you just, what you don't want to take it to is before having it,
Okay,
because then you focus too much on the process of how to get it,
right.
and just wait till you're inspired and you'll know what to go do. So well, obviously you did thinking. Was there anything in the hospital that you were inspired to do to make yourself feel better? I guess you followed what we said. But-
Yeah, I think, well, the morphine helped, I'm not gonna lie. It made me so woozy, like relaxed. But I just started thanking God for my health, even when I was feeling sick. And I just, affirmed that I'm out of here, I'm released. And it could have went the opposite way. I could have been, asked to stay for the weekend, but
Yeah.
I just said, no, I'm healthy. And it really did work. It worked really well, but it helped me to appreciate being, like you were telling the young lady, like, I appreciate health more now. If you don't ever get sick or know how to or feel unhappy, you won't appreciate joy when it comes. You will not, because it sucks being sick. And I now appreciate every minute of the day now.
Awesome.
So now I'm getting my hair done tomorrow so I can attract this wonderful man. Well, he already is here because we already got married.
Okay.
So
All right.
I'm
right.
doing things now to progress this faster.
Don't force it again. Chill about it. It's all thought and feeling right now. It's not action unless it's inspired. Don't put on, you're not hunting anybody.
That's true, but I do feel inspired to get a wig, Kevin. I just want
Okay.
a wig.
Okay. No, that's fine. That's fine. Just say
I want an
you're not on a big game safari right now.
Yes, she is. Takira, we are all invited to the wedding, right?
Hi, you guys are my maid of honors, my best men, all of you guys. Kevin can give me a
Hear
wig.
that, Kevin?
Kevin's giving me
Maid of honor.
Well, no, Kevin won't be the maid of honor. He'll be my best mate.
Yeah, please don't. I suck at that.
Please don't.
Oh, that's too bad.
Well, it'll be a virtual experience, so. But thank you, Kevin. You guys are awesome.
You're welcome. You're
You're
welcome.
pretty awesome too, Takira.
Any other comments or questions for today?
Kevin, could you tell me how to find that YouTube channel? I can't find it.
Go into YouTube first of all. Just go to youtube.com, and then at the top of the search in YouTube, type in the letters VYBO.
Okay.
And then it's going to show a list of videos, but it might even have the symbol VYBO. Click that. That'll take you to the page or the channel that we're talking about.
Okay, because every time I try, it gives me back VOBY.
Not VRBO. Okay.
No, it gives me back.
VYY as in you. VYBO.
B as in boy.
If somebody wants to go find him, throw the link in the chat really fast, you can do that too. But I'll stay here for a
Landon,
moment. If anybody wants.
Landon, could you send it to me?
Okay. Any additional comments or questions while that's going on?
I want to just say something. Hi, you guys.
Hi.
Takira, I'm glad you're not in the hospital and you made a quick, speedy recovery from Friday until now. So that's excellent. I just want to say that on Friday, I had a hole in my leather gloves. And so I ended up going to the store because I was like, oh, I guess I got to get a pair of gloves. So I went and there wasn't very much left. And I have a pair of UGG shoes or yeah, and they're really warm and all that. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to look for and see if there's a pair of gloves. And there's a sister company to Uggs called Kulabura. I don't know, maybe I'm not saying it right, but they were leather and I didn't want leather. So I just asked the universe for black suede. And I left the store, continued doing my stuff. And then I went to a different store and there were only like 4 gloves left after the sales that went on and the Christmas shopping that went on. And so there was the pair of gloves in my size, the right color, black suede, and the price was great. So I realized that I actually did manifest this because I actually said this is what I wanted. So I just wanted to share that with you guys, that I didn't know I had the power to do it or that quickly and all of that. So I was like, wow, okay, this is so cool. So
Yeah.
just sharing.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. We're able to do that stuff really quickly because we put a little focus, there's no fight, and we're not like totally attached to the outcome.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
But
and so
remember,
like-
for me, it's like one of those things where I fight the not doing that because of the fire movement, but I did it.
Yeah.
And I meant it because I really needed a pair of gloves. So
Yeah.
it worked. So thank you.
Well, and you know what? It's okay to get discounts on stuff to be given things, right?
Yes,
It's okay to get $1 million home that you get it for $500,000. Well, you know,
that's
why-
true.
nothing wrong with that. You still got what you wanted. You just didn't base it on price.
Yes. Thank you.
Uh-huh. Yeah, absolutely. Okie dokie. Any,
I have one question, Kevin.
uh-huh.
Do you think what we'll ever cover like Neville Goddard?
He was gonna be next.
Ah, look at that. Okay, good
Power
to
of
know.
awareness.
Yes, the power of awareness. I love that.
That's gonna be our next move after this
Okay.
one.
All right, I'm feeling good. Thank you.
Uh-huh. Yep. All right. You guys, wonderful, awesome, been fun being with you, and I look forward to seeing everybody tomorrow.
Thanks again, Kevin.
Thank you
All
guys.
right, you guys.
See you guys.
Hi, everybody. See y'all
Bye-bye.
tomorrow.